Okay, this is our group on reading responses, and the group is Gisele, Mags, and Sarah. And here we go. So our initial wonderings are, why are reading responses important in the classroom? What are ways that we can support English language learners through reading responses? And how do you know if a reading response is effective? So first of all, why reading responses? Why incorporate them into your classroom? Why take the time to do them? Reading responses are shown to increase participation among students. It increases their creative abilities and it draws from any creativity that they have. And it really helps them make meaning of the text when students feel that they can add their own personal twist to certain things, certain stories, certain characters, certain settings. They feel more connected to it. They can make more real world connections and they get a deeper understanding of what the content is that they are reading.
So here we have some examples of different kinds of reading responses. The first being short stories, where the students will write a story, imagining themselves as a character in the story. And then accompanying the story, students have the option to draw a picture of themselves as the character in the story. We were initially thinking like, with, for example, a book like Harry Potter, students could write a story about what their favorite class was, what like house they would be in, and then they would imagine themselves in that world. Yeah, so moving on. Next would be a creative writing piece. So the creative writing piece, it would be a great way for students to express creativity and make connections to what they read from the book. It could be in the form of a brochure. Students could create a brochure promoting a place within the story and try to persuade their class to come and visit. This is great for ELLs because it gives them a chance to be creative and can draw and write whatever they want to express. And it gives them a chance to kind of incorporate their own culture into their classwork. And lastly, we have a character study, which could be a character change where students can notice how characters change from the beginning to the end of the story by taking down notes at the beginning, middle, and end of the story. Or a character interview, students can choose a character from the story to interview that they feel connected to. They can come up with questions they would like to ask a character from the story and then come up with answers based on the text. Then lastly, we have create a different ending. Students can rewrite a section or scene of the book and include the character they interviewed and the character they have created and incorporate them into the plot if they so choose.
Great, now we're going to talk about ways to support ELLs through these reading responses. So it's important that we constantly check for their comprehension. And a great way is to, include those turn-in talks, which is a useful strategy because it reduces the anxiety for ELLs to speak in front of the entire class. And they can be modified for ELLs by providing a sentence starter or asking them to write down their answers before sharing it with the friend so that they feel comfortable in what they are going to present. Exit tickets are also a great way. They are short written activities, usually given at the end of a lesson to check for student comprehension, including sentence starters or picture supports can be great ways to scaffold learning for ELLs in order to participate. Using, as I mentioned before, using sentence and paragraph frames, sentence structures can be helpful in writing activities. English learners often find writing activities daunting because of the high linguistic expectations, but providing a model can lower anxiety. So for example, if students are asked to give evidence, you can use the sentence frame. I know this because the text says blank, blank, blank. So it allows them to be able to write and express based on what they read. And the last way we can support ELLs is, a picture is worth 1,000 words. because pictures are understandable in any language. So for English learners who may not comprehend everything a teacher is saying, an image can help clarify the meaning and encourage students to understand. So whenever we introduce new vocabulary, incorporating pictures can help understand and interpret the words. And also if handouts are in English, making sure we provide a picture and a place where they can have their own proper translation in their own language can be really beneficial.
So here we have some additional resources that we have provided. These are really great different reading responses. I really like this first link. They're quick 5-minute reading responses that are highly effective and great for increasing making meaning of the text for students. And then there's this awesome list that's been compiled, and it's 91 ways to respond to literature. And these are very creative ways and really awesome. And I can't wait to implement some of these within my own classroom one day. They are all highly recommended and wonderful, a wonderful way to incorporate ways to increase comprehension, participation, fluency, and making meaning of the text. And here are references and resources. We used resources from Reading Rockets for writing as a response to reading, and it discusses the evidence that supports writing as a response to reading being beneficial and reading responses that engage the real student. This article discusses all about how this really engages the real student, and it includes their culture, their diversity, their personality, and really helps make them make real world connections to what they're reading. And below we also have resources for English language learners. And the first one talks about just extending the English language learners' classroom interactions using the response protocol. That one is really helpful. And then the lower one is really helpful for those middle school grades. So it's helpful to see, where you're going. We're focusing mostly on elementary, but they'll be headed up to those middle school and high school grades. And so it's helpful to see what they are doing in the grades above and kind of give you a guide. And so hopefully these can be of use to anyone in the future. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed it.